Thank you, Will and Franzi, for basically doing our presentation for us. So I don't know what we're supposed to do here. Well, I'm happy to be here, and Jill and I will talk about, and later on a colleague from AWS, about the why, the what, and the how to migrate or switch to the DOCSIS cloud. But first of all, let me ask you a question. Does it sometimes feel as if you built your data center on sand? You know, it looks really pretty, but can be really hard to maintain, right? And finding qualified people these days that can help you with that is a challenge. It's also difficult to expand. If you want to scale, if your company grows fast and you need additional hardware infrastructure, it can be a struggle. The security measures, are they really able to deal with modern security threats, right? And last of all, the people inside the castle, can they go outside and work, collaborate anywhere at any time? Well, how can the cloud help with that? And bringing you back to the cracking the code presentation that John did yesterday, the cloud can have an impact on all these challenges and cracking the code. As you've heard multiple times during these 2 days, I would say I would like to focus or highlight 4 areas. First of all, the time to value, which is a running theme through the summit, deploying rapidly in the cloud. That's a key feature the cloud provides. Implementation can start faster, quicker time to value. Massive scale content challenges. That's what cloud infrastructure was, I think, originally thought for. You can scale, the hardware is already there. If you need more, you just upgrade, right? And the need to integrate with other apps. If you're already running in the cloud, it's much easier to integrate with other applications like Salesforce that's also in the cloud or S/4HANA in the cloud. And content collaboration, all the modern tools, Teams, Microsoft, Google Workspace, you name it, Slack, they all operate in the cloud. So also here, it's integrating there, working in these environments is much easier when you're also in the cloud. If we break this down a little bit more, we just talked about collaboration, working anytime, anywhere, became so important in the last 3-4 years. And that is really something the cloud can help you with. Tech lifecycle management, if you go into the cloud, we will take care of that for you, we and our partners. So we will take care of the full technology stack, of all the software updates and all that stuff. So really important support from our side. Unlimited scalability. Your company is growing, you might add billions of data or collection information, as Steen mentioned earlier. You can grow wherever with that, even and take care of the data quality as well at the same time. Don't store just anything, I would say. Robust data security. Yeah, in the cloud, you benefit basically from whatever AWS, Azure, and the other hyperscalers are doing. They're investing lots of money and people power to secure their environments and make sure that no threats can attack you. And at the same time, you will have the same level of security you're already used to with DOCSIS, with encryption of the data on storage level and in transit and so on. And high availability, your business operations, you want them to run all the time. In the cloud, typically our data is replicated at least in 2 regions. So even if a disaster would happen in one of the data centers, your data is still available and can be either recovered quickly or you can continue working with the secondary location even. So really good benefits. In terms of cost reduction, time to value, and other competitive advantages, coming back to the faster time to value, we discussed it. I think the cloud really enables you to realize a faster return on your investment. Lower maintenance effort. Since we are taking care of some of the stuff, you reduce the load on your IT in-house stuff and can reallocate those resources. You either don't need to hire additional people, or you can, and this is, I think, more important, you can focus on your core business. Apply your IT experts to your strategic initiatives that drive your business forward and make you more competitive in your core areas, while we take care of, DOCSIS and the enterprise content management and automation, etc. Well, of course, when you go into the cloud, you don't need to invest in the infrastructure as much in the beginning. That is often cited as a main reason. You move from capital expenditure to operations cost. So that can be an important driver, but it doesn't have to be necessarily. The other factors, I think, are equally as important. And innovation and agility, everything you've seen here at the summit, you basically get the quickest access when you're running in the cloud, because we will update it there, we will run security fixes as fast as possible, and so on. So another added benefit there. And if you're thinking about building a business case for moving from on-premise to the cloud, for instance, or making a decision, should we go on-premise or in the cloud, bear in mind that this overall line, this upper line, is just half the story, or even less than half the story, because on-premises, a lot of the cost is not directly related to the software, it's everything else. And I don't want to go into the details here, but make sure if you're building a business case internally, don't forget about all these factors. It's not as simple as saying, well, cloud over 3 years, it's more expensive than software licenses plus maintenance. The overall picture is different. So please take that into consideration. And to summarize the why a little bit, this is a study that Nucleus Research conducted based on more than 100 case studies of on-premises versus cloud deployments. And they found out cloud deployments typically deliver 4 times the return on investment than on-premises deployment did, and based on their case studies. They delivered that 2.5 times faster than the on-premises solutions, and were typically also 2.5 times faster to go live than on-premises installations. So you get more ROI, you get it faster, and you are live faster. You can use the system faster. I think that makes its case basically by itself. Okay, so that's the why, and let's talk about the what, the DOCSIS cloud. You already heard about it a little bit, and I don't want to describe these models in detail. The important message is we offer you the flexibility to pick a model that fits your needs. So whether you're, for instance, you're starting out, you're looking for a department solution, a contract management solution, or an invoice solution for one department, you can go into the DOCSIS cloud business. That's ideal for that. It's tailored to that. If you're a mid-sized company, you're already thinking about company-wide rollout, DOCSIS Cloud Enterprise might be the right model. And if you are thinking about a lot of very customer-specific customizations, if you want a hybrid scenario or have complex hybrid scenarios, etc., DOCSIS Cloud Unlimited might be the right model. Please talk to our account managers, our cloud experts, and find a model that fits your needs the best. Whatever your situation, there's a tier that will fit you. And most important message here also as well, not easy to read maybe, these are all built on the same software stack. So if you start with cloud with one departmental solution, and at some point you say, well, we now have 5, 6 departments, you can go to the enterprise. That's basically doable in the future in the Cloud Management Studio with a click of a button. And you also have the option to move to the platform as a service in DOCSIS Cloud Unlimited. That's a bit more effort, I think, but it's still completely feasible to do. And with that, I'd like to hand over to a real expert, our head of cloud, Gilles Loureiro.
Thank you, Dominic, for the why and what. And now I will go on the how. So I will basically give you insights on how we run DOCSIS on the cloud, and as well as how we move on-premise installations into the cloud. So as most of you should know, we have a platform based on multiple services, and we use Kubernetes to orchestrate those services on the cloud. And the reason why is with Kubernetes, it's way easier to take the full advantage of the cloud resource. I'm talking about resilience, high availability, and scalability that Dominic have mentioned already. Of course, on the cloud, as mentioned in multiple sessions, we can take full advantages of extra functionality. I'm talking about document understanding, cognitive services, AI, you name it. In the future, we will have as well a cloud management layer to fully automate the interface with you so you can take full control from the deployment until the usage of your cloud installation. And we can make all these over Amazon and Azure in a fully automated way. So we use a fully automated Terraform pipeline that enables us to manage the whole lifecycle in the cloud. Of course, the cloud allows us as well to integrate with other clouds you may use. Of course, I'm talking about SAP in the cloud, Dynamics 365, and you name it. OK, so how do we move on-premise installations into the cloud? We use basically two-phases approach. So we first migrate your installation, and then we give you the opportunity to enhance your installation with extra functionality. The migration phase starts with an assessment step, where basically we will look into your installation to make sure that we capture every single detail and we do not leave anything behind to give us problems afterwards. I will give you more details in a moment of what this is about. Then, of course, we migrate the installation from on-prem into the cloud, which opened the door to enhancements. And here, I'm talking about, first, that we, in the cloud, makes the things way more easier to pick, on-prem customizations that you may have, because we observe this, a lot of customers on-prem did a lot of customizations, but on the cloud, we have already a lot of, ready-to-go solutions, and then this movement is also an opportunity for you, to map these customizations into something standard, and then benefit of the life cycle of these, standard solutions. Of course, on the cloud, you will take as well the benefit of things you may have heard already a lot of times during this summit. I'm talking about especially AI. For example, AI on-prem is basically, especially with the models that bring you value, especially impossible due to cost factors, right? So on the cloud, we have hardware accessible at the price that could bring you business case. So on the assessment phase, we will look into all the details. Here, I'm concentrating in these 5 principal ones. So we will look for compatibility issues. Of course, cloud by design is different from on-prem, so we need to make sure that whatever you run on-prem is also runnable on the cloud. We need to make sure that integrations are working, because basically we are taking your installation, your DOCSIS installation, out from your on-prem ecosystem, and of course, we need to take care about the integrations. Here I'm talking about authentication, for example. Kerberos is no longer available on the cloud. You need to do it with SAML. Or integrations, for example, with SAP, we can even allow LAN-to-LAN VPNs to make technical integration possible without exposing your systems on the internet. And then, of course, we do the migration. I will not explain in all details, in all the steps, this process. I'm more than happy to deep dive, to clarify any doubt or anything you want to know about this process. The main message I want to convey here is that we have established a well-defined process that was already fine-tuned and proven with multiple projects that we have executed already for multiple customers. And basically, this process will address all the problems that you can see on this kind of project. From my experience, the 2 main problems I see in these kind of projects are, first, basically the concern of the customer saying, OK, will this impact my end user, right? So for this, we have multiple strategies to move the installation to the cloud in a way that we minimize the cutover period. We can make it, in most of the cases, in less than 24 hours. That means that if you are not running during a weekend, we can do it without any impact to the end user, right? So basically, the end user arrives Monday, and the platform is again available for them to use. The second main issue I observe is the question of, I have so many data on my archive, so we can easily find archives with dozens or even hundreds of terabytes of data. And customers say, this is significant data I need to move. Will this go well? What can I do here? And we have, again, different alternatives for this. And we have as well the support of our partner, especially Amazon. And I have the pleasure to welcome on stage Carl from Amazon that will explain us alternatives that Amazon can bring in moving all the data to the cloud. Welcome, Carl, and please.
Thank you. Just collecting all my appliances. So exactly. We have learned about so many benefits already that you have from switching from a traditional on-premises solution to a cloud solution. And teams at SER and AWS are working very hard, hand in hand, to make this switch as easy and as smooth for you as possible. So today I would like to talk about two practical examples where SER and AWS are working or partnering to make it easier for you. And the first I would like to talk about is data migration. And if you think about it, data migration itself is nothing new for AWS. So in the last years, we have helped thousands of customers globally to migrate vast amounts of data to the cloud. But at the same time, what I'm experiencing is that the requirements that customers have are increasing and getting more complex. And also the data amounts that customers have are increasing. So we need to give customers different options that are fitting their use case to migrate data to the cloud. And at a very high level, customers have basically two options, right? So it's the online data migration and the offline data migration. With the online data migration, you can think of it like this. There is a dedicated connection between your on-premises system and the AWS cloud. And customers can, through this connection, migrate the data in real time. However, for many customers that might not work because, for example, the bandwidth that they have is not high enough, or maybe the connection is unstable, or the amount of data that the customer has is just too big. So in this case, the customer might want to look at offline data migration options. And in this part, it would be like AWS sends dedicated appliances to your premises, so to the on-premises data center. The customer can load the data on this appliance, send it back to AWS, everything encrypted, of course, so AWS can't access the data, but it's basically supporting the migration. And then at the AWS side, we can load it up to the cloud, and you can make sense of that data. If we look under the hood, we have a lot of more options, of course. And these are established because we at AWS, also at SER, we're working backwards from the customer, and we are learning about the requirements that customers have, and based on that, we are creating new options for customers to migrate data to the cloud. So here you see a couple of options that we have supporting customers to migrate data from their on-premises systems to the cloud. And let's assume, for example, your connection is unstable, you have vast amounts of data in your on-premises systems. How do you migrate? And in that case, you might want to look at the offline transfer, for example, at the AWS Snow family, so we call it. And we have the AWS Snowball. It's the device I just explained. So there's a specific device. It's being sent to your premises. You can upload the data to the device, send it back to AWS, and we will upload the data for you. And in this case, customers can upload up to petabytes of data, so with this Snowball. We then have the Snow Mobile, and there we don't send an appliance. No. We drive a truck. So I'm not kidding, it's an actual truck. So we're driving a truck basically to your premises, loading the data to the truck, and driving back to the AWS facilities to upload the data. And in this, I don't know if you have heard about, but it's exabytes of data that you can migrate with that solution. So we have adapted to the requirements that customers have in this area and are continuing to innovate on behalf of our customers to make these migrations possible. So the key message of this board is SER and AWS are working together to find the right option for you. Right? So we have to talk to each other and see what your requirements are, and working backwards from the requirements to the perfect option for you. The second part I would like to talk about is the well-architected framework that AWS has. And the well-architected framework, you can think of this as an architectural assessment that AWS created to help AWS customers and partners to build the most resilient, secure, performing, high available, you name it, cloud infrastructures out there. And we do this by looking at 6 different pillars. So we're looking at the customer architecture from 6 different pillars to get a really good understanding of the status quo. Then we assess these, the learnings that we have of the status quo. We assess it against AWS design principles. And we have guiding questions that help us for every pillar to understand the status quo and the goal picture. And then we use AWS best practices to mitigate risks that we have identified, to see where we could improve the quality of the solution. And this is the great thing for you as a customer, because with the migration to the cloud solution, it doesn't end there. But SER and AWS are collaborating to continuously increase the performance and the quality of your solution. I mean, you know how fast-paced the technology business is, right? So tomorrow there's something new, especially with SAP, probably. So it's very important that we continuously work together to make sure your application is secure, your application is up to date, and SER takes care of that in partnership with AWS. Here, I would like to give you an overview of the 6 pillars that we are looking at. So we're looking at operational excellence, security, reliability. We're looking at performance, efficiency, cost optimization, and sustainability. So we really have a coherent view on the architecture that you have from all these different perspectives and angles to support you. To summarize this, we are working together to be there for you, to deliver the projects in the right quality for you, work backwards from your requirements, from your demands, and exceed your expectations, hopefully. So I'll be around today still. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, anything you would like to talk about, please feel free to reach out to me, approach me. I'm happy to learn more about your challenges, your questions, and would like to thank you and give it back to Jill.
Thank you, Carl, for a great support and presentation. I will now present you some projects we have already executed. So we migrated, the first one I want to present was done with Amazon for a customer in the manufacturing industry. As you can see, this customer had already a significant amount of data, around about 45 terabytes, sitting on a Centera equipment. And here, because of this amount of data, we used a strategy which basically we took metadata and we migrate one shot into the cloud. Then we connected this on-prem storage sitting on Centera with the cloud installation in order to make a background migration of documents from on-prem into the cloud. Okay? This is completely transparent to the end user, because the system is intelligent enough to, at the moment when an end user clicks on a document, but the document is still on-prem, the platform will pick the document on-prem and deliver it back to the user in a completely transparent manner. Okay? So we took around about 5 months to make this background migration. It was taking a bit longer because of limitations on the Centera equipment. So it was an old equipment with a lot of limitations in terms of throughput. And as well as the customer wanted to make sure that there is no impact for the end user. And for that reason, we defined time slices during overnight in which was allowed to make migrations. So during the day, there was no migrations in order to make sure that the system, the existing system, have full performance to the end user. We did as well the migration of an on-prem big Oracle database into the cloud. We did it with a transformation into cloud-native database services in Postgres. And at the end of the day, we observed that with this transformation, we can achieve way better performance than the customer was able to get on-prem. The reason why is because these services on the cloud are really fine-tuned with the hardware, and the end result is a way better performance. The second case I want to show you is a financial service customer, so a smaller installation we did in Azure. As the amount of data was relatively small, so we used the one-shot strategy for everything, for metadata and documents. We achieved this with a cutover period of 12 hours during the weekend, so no impact for the end user. And on this specific case, we had as well full text functionality. The full text functionality needs always to be rebuilt, unfortunately, on the cloud. It's not possible to migrate. In this case, for the customer, it was not an issue to have 5 days period without full text for the end user because it was not a critical function. But we can always, to connect the cloud full text service to the full text on-prem, to the Elasticsearch service on-prem, and make sure that during this background full text rebuild, the functionality is as well available for the end user. So, on this session, the key takeaways we want you to make sure that you capture. First is cloud is a key pillar to crack the code of ICA, especially on the time to value perspectives and as well as connectivity with the cloud ecosystem. So we presented you multiple tiers with different functionalities and prices. So you can choose the one that fits your requirements, at the price you can pay. And last but not least, we presented you a migration framework that is, again, well-established, fine-tuned, to make sure that we can run, migration projects without surprises. So if you have any further question, please reach out. We are more than happy to clarify. Thank you for your time. Questions?